Thank you for joining us today on this talk to know more about open source. It's a pleasure to be with you today, even virtually. For now, we will keep our tech talks virtual, but soon we expect to open our doors to you and to host the next talks in our offices. I'm Pedro, the communication responsible for the FTech, and I'll be with you during this talk as the host. We are going to spend the next hour with André Correia talking about open source at Farfetch, the importance and the goals of this project. Just to introduce André a little bit, he defines himself as an open source evangelist. He started working with us in 2016 as a senior software engineer, and after 2 years with us, he embraces a new challenge outside Farfetch. But after that, he came back, and since last year, October, I think, he became the soul of this open source initiative and started to build the open source program office at Farfetch. But the best person to speak about that is André. Before I hand over to him, I just want to tell that if you have any questions about the presentation or some doubts about the open source at Farfetch, you could put your question in the Q&A panel or like other questions. I will collect all of them and we try to answer as much as we can at the end of today's session. Also, during this presentation, André will put some questions to you. I'll put them in BlueJeans poll, so please answer it. And in the end of the presentation, André will comment the results. Once again, thank you for joining us. And now I hand over to André. Welcome, André, and good luck for your presentation.
Thank you, Pedro. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining me and this nice evening. My name is André, as already Pedro said. I'm a software engineer at Farfetch, and I embrace this challenge of working in the new open source team. Today, we will talk about open source and why the world appreciates your contributions. In 2019, predictions made by the EDC Futurescape, they said that by 2022, over half of the code in 75% of new apps will be from external sources. The need to improve developers' productivity is driving the use of open source and commercial code repository. So we can see here a reference to two different types of software or code, commercial and open source. Commercial code is the traditional way of buying commercial licensed extensions, for example, libraries, frameworks, something that increases the developer's productivity. Under the hood, just let me know that they usually use open source. And it's exactly about open source that we will talk today. We are living in an era that we can say that software is hitting the world. As Mark Anderson, an entrepreneur and Netscape founder and ex-member of eBay board, said in 2011, 9 years ago. So why is it in the world? Because the amount of apps, products, devices, and even jobs that depend on it, it's growing. For example, if you go to a mobile app store and search for some random dumb thing, you probably will find an app that do that dumb thing. But on the other hand, we can say that open source is hitting the software world because the amount of open source solutions is increasing every day. We can find database solutions, operating systems, code editors, programming language, and much more. But also, and most important, most of the software solutions that we use in our daily basis, paid or not, depends on open source projects. For example, we could depend on Bootstrap, WordPress, or the famous jQuery, and they are open source. But what is open source? By definition, let me say that it's the act when anyone is free to use, view, modify, and distribute a project. Okay, the open source definition, in my opinion, so that it's yours, looks good, but why? We can start by thinking about collaboration, adoption, and transparency. Collaboration, because open source projects can accept change and discuss improvements from anyone in the world. Adoption, because can be seen by everyone in the world. Exactly, we can open an open source solution and build what we want. And finally, transparency, where anyone can inspect the code for errors or inconsistencies. And it's important because it helps to understand the privacy and security flaws. At the moment, we should care about privacy because, as we know, it's something that we should be worried about. Okay, but if it's open to everyone, how can we protect our work? So the answer is licensing it. And in this case, because we are talking about open source, with open source license. Open source projects live side by side with open source license, because the license defines the terms and conditions on how the source code can be used, modified, or shared. Usually, we can face three types of open source license. The copyleft, that grants the freedom to use, modify, and distribute, but under the compatible terms and conditions. Within this type, we have the strong and the weak copyleft. The weak one, the difference is that allows the integration of it in proprietary code without using the same license. As an example of a strong copyleft, we have the GPL 3.0. In the case of the weak copyleft, we have the LGPL. We have also the permissive one, probably it's the most used. That permissive one grants the freedom to use, modify, and distribute, but also permits the proprietary derivative work. So you can do what you want, at least if you respect the terms and conditions. An example, it's the MIT and the Apache 2.0. And finally, I would like to mention the proprietary and custom-made. Companies that create their own license to cover some terms and conditions that usually the known license don't have. I can give you an example. For example, the server-side public license created by the Mongo team. This license tries to fight against companies that capture all the value of the product, of the open source product, but don't contribute back to the community. I don't put in this list the unlicensed type. It's also a type, because by default you cannot use and distribute without permission. But it's time for a pull, as Pedro mentioned. As a developer, do you usually check out the license of the dependency that you intend to install in your project? It's something that I usually ask for every developer, also as me as a developer. Okay, but open source is not synonym of free of charge, because the term free in free open source software refers to freedom, not the monetary cost. Companies can be profitable by creating open source and creating ways to fund their own business. Like, for example, hosting. Besides the solution, they provide premium service using the open source solution, mostly in infrastructure, offering infrastructure solutions. And in this case, we have Mongo with MongoDB and Confluent with the infrastructure for Apache Kafka. We also have the advertisement by renting space in the product or including ads. Premium features like extensions that improves the developer experience. And common example, it's MySQL. And support and service. An example is Red Hat that offers its software for free in Linux systems mainly, but in the other hand, charge the users for technical support service and consulting. I didn't put in this list donations because donations are not so well accepted, because it's harder to understand the sustainability of projects that depends on it. Okay, I think you can agree with me, and theory looks good, but let's use a delicious example. Imagine that I bring a cherry pie to everyone here in the talk. Unfortunately, as you know, I can't share with you the pie. Sorry for that. But what is the process of sharing a pie? So every one of you tries the pie, so it means that you are using the pie. Someone asks for the recipe, which I provide to them. So it means that you can view the recipe. A pastry chef or something that likes to do pastry things suggests to reduce the sugar. So we together are like modifying the initial recipe for better. And finally, someone else asks to use it for a dinner next time. So we are distributing our initial recipe, changed or not, the original or not, but it's like we are creating a recipe together. So as you can see here in the example, we are obviously not reinventing the wheel, because we are using an open source recipe, so we don't have to invest time and resources in reinventing new solutions. Also, when created and maintained by larger companies, we can trust on their innovations and learnings to help our products move faster. We are also fostering individual motivation, giving the opportunity to improve our own skills and learn from the communities. We are also giving back with benefits, because by contributing to projects that we are using allows us allows that our customizations can be checked, tested, and improved by other people, increasing in the final the quality of the solution. We are also encouraging the community collaboration, because the open source culture of sharing and contributing can generate a great deal of collaboration with the tech community, partners, and also customers. And we are also improving the quality, because we have more eyes looking into the project, so more improvements can be suggested and flaws found. We will have more time to spend on usually developing our intellectual property. Also, I need to refer in this case that we are also gaining compliance quality, because it's easier to take care of the license, because we have more eyes on the project, and we are avoiding copy from proprietary software. But okay, and I think it's a nice example to show us the power of the open source. With the current situation, open source is helping us to fight the COVID-19. For example, we have the Respiro Works, that it's an initiative from a US team in order to create an open source ventilator. And this shows us also that open source is not only about source code, but also about open source hardware. We have the Tech for COVID, that is a group of Portuguese people that joined the effort to create solutions to help other people in this weird time that we are living at the moment. For example, they created a platform to share small stores that are struggling because of the social distance and the isolation that people are obligated to do. Or, for example, also a solution to bring together the elderly people with the youngest people, in order to the youngest people buy the medicines and the groceries that usually the elder people can't do that. And finally, Stay Away COVID. You probably know also, because we are talking about and more, at least Portuguese people, obviously. For the other ones, it's Stay Away COVID is an application supported by Portuguese government that runs on iOS and Android mobile phones, and is intended to support the country in its efforts to monitor the COVID-19. It was some private questions related with the data being sent to Apple and the Google servers, but at least it's possible to understand what the app, the Stay Away COVID app, is doing because the app is open source. But let me share with you some numbers. In the To-Do Group survey of 2020, 81% of the inquiries say that consume open source projects in their products or services. 44% of the people say that contribute upstream to open source projects, and it's an increase of 3% against 2019. Also, 37% says that collaborate with peers across open source projects. And finally, 9% says that are not involved in open source. 9% says that it's not involved in open source, but I believe that this 9% means that they don't have the conscience that they are using open source, at least consuming some kind of library, framework, or also software, not necessarily in the final product, but at least in the process. For example, using a program, a code editor, or some tool in the continuous improvement system or continuous deploy. So I believe that they use at least something that it's open source. But okay, it's time for a new pool, I think. And I want to ask you all that, did you contribute to open source by making contributions or by maintaining a public project? I think it's a nice question because we are here talking about open source, right? So, you are answering it, but I will continue. So as more organizations realize the advantage of open source, many are looking for ways to integrate open source in technologies and strategies into their business or business practice or business organization strategy. But they have learned that simply by throwing developers into the open source projects and hoping for the best isn't enough. So they recognize the need for building centralized team that guides and aligns the open source best practice with business strategies and business objectives. With this, the Open Source Program Office name as born. Open Source Program Office, also known as OSPO, usually known as OSPO. And nothing better than the To-Do Group definition for an open source program office. They say that an open source program office is designed to be the center of the universe for a company's open source operation and structure, helping to bring all the needed components together. Just a note, To-Do Group means talk openly, develop openly, and it's a group of people and companies like Google, Bloomberg, Uber, and Salesforce that are pushing the use of open source programs by and within companies. So as I say, this is made by companies, and the To-Do Group is made by companies, big companies, and they are also surrendered to open source. We have examples of companies with a natural approach for open source from the early beginning. For example, Google, with probably you know about Kubernetes, that it's widely used. Facebook, another great example is React. React is so big in the open source world that they also recruit people to work in the React team. We have Netflix that from the early beginning, they have the mentality of open source. And also companies that changed their mindset to be more open source and apply this open source program, like Adobe, that it's known by their commercial solutions, but they also are present in the open source world and also contributing for the open source. We have also PayPal. And PayPal is an example of a company that also implemented the open source culture within the company, and it's usually called inner source. and at least but not least, Microsoft. Probably it's a great case because they went from closed source completely to open source, and now they are one of the top open source contributors in the world with influence and presence in the community. You probably already listened about someone that uses, at least if you don't use, Visual Studio Code, or you already listened that they are using Linux in their Azure services, or for example, that they are open source the entire .NET framework with the .NET Core. But what it intends to do with the responsibility of a team specifically for the open source operation. So the responsibility starts with communication. So communicate the open source strategy, mission, and advantage within and outside Farfetch. Also maintaining the open source license compliance by reviewing and helping to understand and oversight. We also are here to facilitate the effective use of open source in commercial products and services. Engage with the developer communities, ensuring the contribution back to the other projects effectively. And finally, fostering an open source culture within the organization. But what company says about the implementation of open source program? Again, the numbers about the open source program office in the To-Do Group survey in 2020, when asked why they have an open source program office, people say that 65% maintain an open source program in order to maintain open source license compliance, reviews, and oversight. It's an increase, a 7% increase against 2019, 7% in 1 year, it's a lot. Also, 63% says that they want to fostering an open source culture within an organization. And finally, 33% recruit and hire developers to work on open source. I put this here because, as you can see, it's a decrease of 6% against 2019, and 6% looks bad because it's about recruitment, right? But if you look into what we are seeing in the open source world, this is positive because the developers tend to care more about open source within the company, and companies don't need to hire developers specifically to work on open source. Okay, but time for the last poll for today. And I want to ask you if did your company let you contribute to open source projects and are being used in your products or service? So let's continue. And now at Farfetch. In the beginning, we started by asking ourselves what we want. And we start asking questions like, which open source projects are we using? What are the licenses that the project have? Or, for example, are we contributing to any project? Which kind of projects we want to release? And finally, what are the requirements to release a project? I said finally, but obviously we have much more questions, but these are the starters. So also looking into the questions, we can say that the first two questions is related to inbound process. It's related to consuming open source. And the three last is about contributing and also making projects open source. How the process is to make projects open source. So questions like this need to be answered, but how to address these questions? So we set the pillars of the open source team. That includes consuming, obviously. We developers tend to download a library or a framework from the package manager or the package register. and usually use it without care, or sometimes without care about the license, the process, and also the status of the project. Just because they solve a problem that we want to be solved. But that inbound process, we are consuming open source that as a license, or also as unlicensed, as I already say, is something that we should not use. And we, the open source team at Farfetch, want to define how consuming open source, how to bring open source code into the company and use it to help build our products and services. We care and support the use of projects that are compliant, secure, and show us a good health. And to help the team, we are introducing gradually a software solution in our continuous improvement system that check the projects and its dependencies, giving us an overview about the security risk and the compliance. Usually this kind of software is called the software composition analysis. We also want to guide people to contribute to projects. In one hand, we have the copyright problem because we are ruled by an enterprise company, and we have a contract to Farfetch. Farfetch is our employer, but we want to encourage and allow the developers to contribute to projects that we use to build our solutions, our services. If someone, for example, finds a bug or wants to improve a code, or share or discuss a new feature, we want to enable them to do it, and we want to guide them to do it, how to do it. Whatever, everyone needs to be aware of the concerns that it's related to it. And finally, we want to help people and empower people in the developer community of Farfetch to create and make open source projects. So the open source team is here to educate and prepare developers to maintain the project and do tasks like promote it, respond to community how to fix security alerts, release new features, and much more. And usually we warn people by saying that making a project public is just the start of the adventure of putting a project open source. But none of this is possible without other teams and other people at Farfetch. So we need help from legal team, obviously, because the legal team advises on the open source compliance, help us to solve compliance inquiries, and provides education support related with the license, in terms of how to understand the terms and conditions that usually license have. We also need the help from the marketing and communication teams. They help us with the communication channels and in creating a brand in the open source. I need to say that marketing is essential in the open source world. Open source programs that don't align the strategy with them usually tend to fail. Also, I like to mention technology. At Farfetch, we call it FTech. And obviously, because we depend on what is built within the company and on the developers' efforts to understand the impact of the program and the use of the program. And finally, I would like to mention the Open Source Council. The Open Source Council is a group of people built within Farfetch by us, the open source team, composed by Farfetch from architecture, engineering, infrastructure, strategy, and everyone that it's possible to put here. Because it's a way for us to put efforts together in order to create a strategy oriented to the community within Farfetch. And finally, obviously, our goals with this strategy and this approach. We want to see more collaboration internally and external, because we are stronger, obviously, when we work as a community and we work as a team. We also want to give back We want to be part of the community and giving back by sharing our knowledge and improving the quality of the projects that we depend and we want to share. Also, and it's important, the compliance, because being a company in the stock market, this is a big pillar for Farfetch. And us, as open source program, need to educate people to be aware of the importance of being compliant. As we spoke, open source lives side by side with the open source license. And we also want to attract and retain talent. Open source is not only a buzzword, it's developers care more about it and developers want to care about it. And us as a tech company want to keep that kind of people that cares about open source and attract also people that cares about open source. And finally, culture improvements, because this is not another process to be followed. This is something that we can get advantage of it in terms of internally and externally. Okay, but let me share you some numbers from the yearly phase of this adventure. We launched officially the initiative in size June of 2020, and from that we already answered more than 20 questions about license. Okay, 20 is a small number, I need to admit, but in the other side we need to be proud of this, because it means that people start asking about the components they are installing, the frameworks they are installing from the package register, and this is important. Also, we have 45 projects with the compliance tool integrated. As I already said, the software composition analysis. And this is good to understand the impact, and people can check the status of the project, like security flaws or license compliance. Also, we already start contributing upstream using the open source guidelines. And this includes, for example, solve problems related with TLA or related with the license that the project have, because we need to take care of this. Also, we need to take care about the GitHub. For example, we use a lot of GitHub, so we need to care about how to sign the commit or how to accept the commit signing. So we already contributed to FIST, that it's a Google project or a side project from Google. DataStax, mainly in the C# Cassandra client. Confluent Kafka, also the C# client, and Great Expectations. And we already start creating open source projects. So we already have 5 projects since the release of the initiative, as I said, June of 2020. And we have 3 more to be released until the end of the year. But let me make briefly a presentation of the projects that we already have open source. So we start with Mockingbird, that it's a web debugging tool for logging HTTP and HTTPS traffic with ability to mocking any system. Mockingbird is like Charles or the web proxy or Fiddler. Probably most of you already used it. And it's, let me say that it's simple to use against these 2 examples. At the moment, it's available only for Mac OS. In the JavaScript, we have React Context Responsive, that it's a package that provides a component for responsive context using the Context API. We also have Garment, a build system and task orchestrator for projects inside monorepos that provide a consistent developer experience across the projects. I would like to mention that I want to thank Garment because it was the first project registered to be open source, and they helped us to build the registration process and to understand the flaws of it. And finally, Kafka Flow. Kafka Flow, let me say that it's a Confluent Kafka client on steroids. Is a framework to consume and produce Kafka message with multi-threading support, simple to use and easy to extend. Kafka Flow also show us that it's how open source can create synergy within the company. We in the beginning of the registration process, we got 2 projects related with the Kafka, and we as an open source team, we look at it and we put the 2 teams working together, and we understood that one of the projects can be inside the Kafka Flow. So it's nice to see the open source benefits and advantage working in order to create a better solution and with the features that is good for every team, in order to, instead of reinventing the wheel, as I said in the beginning. I also need to say that the Kafka Flow was already mentioned in the social media from Microsoft MVP, and this is good for us, obviously. But the journey is just beginning, and we already have more than 300 stars, 14 contributors, more than 60,000 downloads, more than 100 pull requests, and more than 150 issues open. But also we can retrieve some lessons learned from this. First one is that licenses are not trivial when contributing and consuming. Every type of software license brings terms and conditions to understand, and we need to study if we can use it or not. Without the legal team, it's impossible to understand everything. The other thing is go with the flow. The initial phase after a project goes live is really important, because it's the moment where we can drive our community. If we have a clear documentation, clear description, and a good way to create engagement, we will see better results. Examples, for example, create issues by default with labels to try to push people with the easy to start, or labels that are meaningful for starters. And also with the great contributing guidelines that it's always good to see. And the last lesson learned that I want to share with you is buy-in from project for new projects sometimes faces barrier, mainly from leaders and managers, because they are the sponsor of the project. But this is understandable, because in the initial phase we need to make an extra effort to be able to open source projects, and the deadlines for their projects and their initiatives are tight. And again, this is understandable. That's why it's part of the job of the open source team to explain and the advantage of the open source to the leaders and managers and everyone that are in the same boat. So what are our next steps? What we want to move forward? So we want to keep pushing the initiative. We want to keep the improvement of our projects, increase the number of contributions, increase the license compliance, improve the culture, mainly. We also want to publicly share our insights and metrics, and how we capture them. We want this externally and mainly internally, in order to share the impact and in order to make people to understand what the advantage that we are bringing from the open source approach. Also, we want to open source our guidelines, like Google, Verizon Media, or Microsoft. We want to open source our guidelines in order to other companies that want to follow the process of creating an open source program, be able to do that. This is the spirit of open source. And finally, we want to push the open source philosophy within the Farfetch, because the open source culture is about developers community, not only externally. Let's think of in open source like something normal for all the projects. The open source advantage starts when developers community push for it and understand the advantage of using it. So don't forget, be part of the community. Check out our projects at github.com/farfetch. And thank you.
Thank you, André. Thank you so much for your presentation. We have a lot of questions to be answered in our chat, but first let me tell you the results of our polls. So for the first question, do you usually check out the type of license of the dependencies that you intend to install? 50-50, yes or no? Okay, 50-50.
This is really interesting.
The second question, did you contribute to open source by making contributions or by maintaining a project public? 70% answering no.
Also interesting, yeah.
And the last one, did your company let you contribute to open source projects that are being used in your products or services? 67% of the people answering yes.
Okay, the first two questions, this is interesting because I hope that some of the approach at least changed from their minds and they want to do more open source, and at least they want to look more into the dependencies and the license that the dependency has. That it's really important, and it's a personal advice. Let me say that it's a personal advice that look more into the license and care about it.
Okay, nice. Let's go to the questions now. We have a lot of questions, like I said before. I will start to put the questions that have more likes. So the first question is from Renato Tarantelli. What is the most important benefit you can see in a company by adopting open source, not just as a form of marketing advertising?
Okay, the first one, in my opinion, is it's like the community culture. It's the moving forward our efforts in the one single way. So, for example, as I explained in the Kafka Flow synergy that we are created by putting together two teams that as different projects, but they can put one of the projects inside the other one. It's this kind of synergies that we want to see within Farfetch and in the culture way of doing open source. This kind of, okay, I'm not reinventing the wheel by doing the stuff that I'm thinking about, this amazing tool, without checking if any other team or any other people are doing the same. And this kind of spirit of open source creates this approach that you will check first if you know some project within Farfetch or in other company that does the same, and if don't do the same that I need, probably I can suggest my change and contribute with a new feature and increasing the quality of a single solution and not creating a new solution and spread the knowledge. Mainly, this is one of the main advantages that I see in the open source.
Okay, next question from Vanessa Souza. What is the license used at Farfetch and why?
Okay, this is interesting because our current 5 projects use MIT, but it's because it's the most permissive license. It's in order to create engagement with people and don't create barriers for people to contribute. But every project is a new project, and we need to study the strengths of the projects in order to understand the license that we want to put in the project. For example, as I said in the MongoDB example, they change they license exactly because they understand that with the time passing, they need to change in order to cover some problems that they are facing with the license, the permissive license that they have. So they change it. So each case is a case, but at least for now we are using MIT. Just because in order to create engagement.
The third question from Cristiana Azevedo. How do you measure the success of the program?
Okay, I try to be short in this question because we need to measure different kind of things in different ways. For example, as I mentioned in the pillars of the open source, we need to measure each pillar in different way. So, for example, for consuming, we need to check if people are caring more about the open source license and want to learn more about license. As we saw in the pool, we got a 50-50. So I'm worried about that because we need to check the license. We are bringing not only the code we expect that does at least what we want, but we also bring the license that can put terms and conditions on what we are doing. So we need to measure this kind, like the pool that we have done. We need to do more pools within Farfetch in this case and understand if people are caring about more and license. In the case of contributing is by the pillar of contributing is in order to understand if people are making the efforts to create issues and contribute to projects that we use. With this, we can measure, for example, if people are contributing, are creating issues in the other projects, if we are improving the other projects and sharing knowledge that we have and we learn with the others. Also, this is important because people, it's not only about contributing. People need to ask questions and read the contributing guidelines. And sometimes the contributing guidelines has restrictions that as a person that it's a Farfetch collaborator cannot do, because the CLA, that it's called CLA, but it's the contributed license agreement, that it's something that we need to sign in order to give the code to other projects. This is kind of the measures that we need to do in order to understand if people do it. And finally, the pillar of creating. In the beginning, this is the easiest one because it's at least for us in the beginning, we are looking at the statistics that I show. For example, if we are getting engaged, for example, by getting issues, contributions, and for example, stars, that it's a meaningful or depends on your view, but stars can be meaningful as a metric, and it's important to see it. But this is the things that we are measuring in the beginning of our initiative. Obviously, we need to grow this kind of measurement for something bigger because I believe that we are growing in the open source world and within and outside Farfetch, and we need to measure with more and more metrics.
Okay, so now we have 7 minutes to answer 3 questions. Okay, so next question is from Chris. What are the guidelines for selecting or using open source code application for use to solve a problem?
Okay, interesting, because it's not about deselecting, sorry. It's because we need to understand if the license is compliant or not with our approach. For example, a real example that I can give you, if you, for example, see a project that you want to install in your application, your proprietary code that we use at Farfetch, a service or something, that depends on an AGPL license, you should not install it because we are entering in the not compliant situation. So these are the guidelines that we need to care and to take attention to it. This is something that we at Farfetch, we have this in our guidelines. If you are a Farfetcher, you should check that guidelines.
Okay. So the second question from Chris is, hi Andre, I can understand that the open source will be cheaper compared to commercial softwares and gives flexibility to customize. But how viable it is for critical systems, unless it's mature and supported as you need the skills to support it, or it's released by known companies, say Google, etc.
Yeah, open source is not only about, okay, I found a project, it's open source and I will use it. And I saw that you are the guy that made the question above about the guidelines. So this is also something that you need to take care of it, because stronger or mature projects are good in open source world, but the early phase projects, we need to take care about that. We need to evaluate if they are, besides okay, they are solving our problem at the moment, but after some cases we start facing some critical issues, vulnerabilities, flaws, and that kind of thing. And for example, if you choose this kind of solution because we didn't read or you didn't understood the status of the project, or if it's in a good status or not, or if it's a strong project, you will face these kind of problems. For example, one simple example to develop this question: if you go to a project that you are facing a bug, and you try to open an issue and the maintainers don't respond, you are facing a problem, because the project is there, you have the solution, but the maintainers don't accept that solution. Okay, but this is some kind of the flexibility that you are giving, that you are saying that you need to understand. And obviously we know usually that a Google project that it's supported by Google will have a lot of support and the backup by also developers that are fully compromised with the project. But probably we are using in some cases solutions, small solutions that people do is in the free time. So probably you need to ensure that open source solutions fits in your concerns. Obviously, you always have the opportunity to fork the project if the license allows that, or do these kind of things. So for me, it's a good part for open source, because you can evaluate if your solution it's good or not. For example, if you go for a commercial solution, usually the consulting guy arrives and says, oh, this does everything that you need. But in the meantime, you understood that, okay, they say that, but only for 5 years in the future, because we don't have their roadmap, we don't know what they are doing, we don't know their code. So this is something that we need to evaluate and understand. Okay. I hope that I answered to your question, Krish.
Thank you, Andre. So 1 minute to the last question from Miguel. How does open source help with questions regarding compliance?
Okay, open source, as I mentioned, it's not only about the code itself, it's also about license. And we need to live together with both worlds. If we start working the project that, as I already mentioned, with the AGPL license, and we want to use this within the company, we need to understand a lot of the license and understand where we will put this dependency and understand the impact of it. So this is the open source approach that we need to create. So it's why they can help us to solve compliance problems, because we are paying attention to these kind of things that usually we don't have. As the example of the pool that says that from the inquiries, 50-50 says that don't care about the license. So this is kind of the things that we are trying to solve. and educate people. It's something important.
Okay, thank you so much, Andre. We are running out of time now. So once again, thank you, and thank you all for your time. Stay tuned for the next Farfetch Tech Talk. It was a pleasure to us, I think, right, Andre? Any final
Yeah,
words?
and let me say that if you have any question or any doubt, please contact me within or outside Farfetch. I'm able to answer and to help you with any question.
Perfect. I hope to see you soon. Stay tuned. Bye bye.
All right. Thank you.